What is going on, everyone? A Football Friday edition of BYP. Rich Quinones here. Appreciate everyone keeping us locked in. All right, so as always, don't forget to smash the subscribe button. Always appreciate the feedback. And I wanted to hook up with you guys and get into some of these games. And as always, at Rich Q on Q. And of course, the YouTube channel, Rich Q on Q. And we're brought to you by on this Friday afternoon from our good friends over at Play It Again Sports. Check them out in Woodbury. They've got all great merchandise. They've got throwback jerseys. They've got clothes, sporting goods. They've got used weights, everything you need. If you check them out right now, tell me you heard it right here on BYP with Q. They got some good promotions coming down with the holidays right around this corner as well. And of course, $50 gift certificates for $40. So not bad, right? Not bad, not bad, not bad. All right. So I wanted to get into some of these games, as I mentioned. It's a huge weekend in the NFL. We know that it started off last night with the debacle that was the New York Jets. And, I've gotten a lot of, I don't want to say pushback or grief. What I was talking about earlier today with the Jets was the fact that I think it's over for Zach Wilson. I really do. I don't think there's any turning back if you're a Jet fan. And it's funny because going into the season, the talk for the Jets and the Giants centered around the quarterback position. Do you have your franchise quarterback? Right now, as crazy as it sounds, it seems as though the Giants have their franchise quarterback. I mean, think about that for a moment. I don't think any of us would have actually predicted that, right? The way it's kind of like playing out as we speak, but yet here we are. Here we are. And the same can be said for a couple of these other teams. But listen, at the end of the day, what you're getting right now from the New York Jets is just it's not good what you're getting with Zach Wilson. It's not. And right at this moment, I don't know how you can continue to go forward with him. You have a young quarterback that looks rattled, a young quarterback that really looks like lost, doesn't understand pocket awareness, doesn't really see the field the way he should be seeing the field. And he got benched again last night. And then conversely, the quarterback that a lot of people maybe wanted you to draft somewhat lit you up in bad weather. So I felt horrible for the fans out there who had to watch that crap last night. And then to add insult to injury, you had the head coach come out today, or actually last night. You haven't seen the last of Zach Wilson. I mean, that's just ridiculous. He's out of touch, the coaches with the fan base. And then today he comes back and he kind of doubles up on it. And well, we've got confidence in all our players, folks. It's not happening right now. It's not happening. So I posted some of my thoughts on Zach Wilson on the YouTube channel. Check it out. But as far as these games, listen, this is a huge week 16 in the NFL because a lot of these games obviously have playoff implications. And there are some games where I would just kind of deem I'm not interested in, even from a betting standpoint, from a sports gambling standpoint. I mean, even if you look through the gamut right now, as it stands in the AFC, Buffalo, Kansas City, Cincinnati, 1, 2, 3, all locked in, okay? And Buffalo's trying to fend off KC. They want that home field advantage, do they not? Cincinnati's on a little bit of a run. Now with Hurts being injured with the Eagles, perhaps Mahomes catapults him in the MVP race. Then you've got Tennessee, Baltimore, the Chargers, and Miami. 4, 5, 6, 7, okay? Now in the NFC, Eagles, Minnesota, San Francisco, and Dallas, by virtue of the Giants' win over Washington, they've all clinched. Tampa Bay, most likely by default. I don't see Carolina catching them, to be quite honest with you. And Carolina's got a tough game this weekend against the Detroit Lions, where the Lions are laying 2.5. You would have those teams locked in, and then the Giants and Washington 6, 7 as it stands right now. Seattle's on the outside looking in. As far as some of these games, as I just mentioned, we talked about Seattle. They're 7-7 right now. They're taking on a very good Kansas City squad that's 11-3. And Seattle, I thought, kind of peaked when they played the New York Giants a couple weeks ago. I look at this team as a team right now that is leaking oil. I look at this team that is um, you're starting to see, the old Geno Smith, so to speak, right? Mistakes. They've got problems with the secondary. Uh, they're kind of falling apart on the outside looking in with the wild card, taking on a Chief squad that has really played well. Mahomes moving up in the MVP race when you look at the odds. And as I said, timing is everything, is it not? Because now, if you really think about it, with Jalen Hurts going down, if you pull up right now, let's just see, MVP as we speak, the odds. And this is kind of going on the premise that Jalen Hurts was healthy. Jalen Hurts was plus 4,000 before the season started. Then he dropped to 165, minus 165. So right now, as it stands, depending upon where you kind of hang your hat, uh, Mahomes is still the front runner. Hurts is right there. And then all of a sudden, you get a little mix. You get Burrow mixed in there. You get Allen mixed in there. So Mahomes is at minus 250. Some books actually have Hurts now bumped up to plus 350, 450, which is okay. And then you got Allen at plus 850, and you've got Burrow at plus 850, which those numbers seem a little skewed, to be quite honest with you. I saw a couple of other, FanDuel had it actually lower. They had Jalen Hurts at plus 550, Allen and Burrow plus 600, plus 800, respectively. So go figure. But I like what the Chiefs are doing. They should be able to run the ball. You've got Pacheco, you've got McKinnon. If you're going to play anything in this game, I mean, you might be scared away with the line itself. If you look at some of the props, the weather's supposed to be lousy. You got Patrick Mahomes, 299 and a half yards. That might be something that you might want to determine to play the under in that game, but I still like Kansas City to win that game. The Giants against the Vikings. Giants 8-5-1, Minnesota 11-3. Minnesota is laying 4.5. I saw the total bump up to 50, 51. Now it's back down to 49.5. Minnesota, they won 3 out of 4. They're coming off that miracle win against Indianapolis, 39-36, where the Colts choked up the biggest lead in NFL history. They're a good team at home. They're 7-1. And you look at kind of the numbers, they've been in 10 one-score games. They can't stop the run. So if you're a Giant fan, you're going to think, all right, let's get 26 into the mix. Saquon. And he still hasn't been the same back since he had a $140 plus against the Texans. They got him cranking up, though, late against Washington on Sunday. The Giants now 8-5-1, big win against Washington, even though they got bailed out by the Zebras. 4-2 on the road. The Giants in one-score games this year, they've been one of the best teams, 8-2-1. So they keep the game tight, close, an ugly affair, a competitive game going into the fourth quarter. They want to make it ugly. Minnesota's defense stinks. This might be the game where some of these no-name wide receivers make some plays, whether it's going to be Richie James or Slayton and the like for the New York Giants. Saquon, I think, is going to get his. And don't be shocked if Daniel Jones has one of these games where you see the RPO get into the mix. 4.5. I think the Giants cover this number, but I don't think the Giants win the game. Lions and the Packers. One of the hottest teams in the NFL are the Detroit Lions, laying 2.5 against the Panthers. Pardon me, I said the Packers, but it's the Panthers. Panthers have played much better since they inserted Sam Darnold, even though they lost 24-16 against Pittsburgh as a 2-point favorite last week. They're playing better. You don't know what you're going to have going forward. Right now, Darnold is that quote-unquote bridge quarterback. I know they're going to have to get a quarterback in the offseason. But this is a game where the Lions just have way too many weapons. And Jared Goff has really played well this year. It's amazing. Not a lot of people are giving Jared Goff a ton of credit, but he has played exceptionally well this year. He's put up good numbers. The offensive line has protected them. They can run. They've got outside weapons. They've got a very good defense, and they play hard for their head coach. Two more. Washington and the 49ers. 49ers with Purdy laying 6.5, 7. They won 7 straight. They're a good team, man. Can you imagine if this team was healthy with Jimmy G? But their defense is going to carry them. We know about the weapons. Even without a Debo Samuel, they can still run the ball. They can still spread it. That quarterback just needs to play within himself. Chase Young comes back for Washington, which is a boost, but I think it might be too little too late for the Washington Commanders. Heineke's kind of that hit or miss. I mean, look, you really couldn't muster a lot of offense last week against a banged up Giants secondary. That's still without Adoree Jackson. And then lastly, Philly against the Dallas Cowboys. The Eagles are 13-1. Dallas is 10-4, laying 4.5. Obviously, we saw the movement in the line when it was in at 1-2, then it ballooned up. That's because of the injury news. Seems as though Vegas knew something before we all did. What else is new? With Jalen Hurts and that sprained right shoulder, Gardner Minshew is going to get the start. I think they'll be okay. Listen, they can get to the quarterback. We know about their offensive weapons. You're going to have to run Miles Sanders earlier in this game, take some pressure off Minshew, because you would imagine, even with reps, he's still going to be somewhat rusty, so to speak. So I play the run if you are the Dallas Cowboys. And if you're the Eagles, you try to establish it early. Goddard's coming back for the Eagles, so now you got a tight end, always the quarterback's best friend. 4.5. This is a tricky spot. I don't like this 4:25 kickoff. It's rough when these teams are playing on the holidays. It's in Dallas. They're desperate. They're coming off a bad loss where they coughed up a 17-point lead to Jacksonville. I like the Eagles to cover this game. I'm not sure if the Eagles win it. We'll kind of have more concrete thoughts on this tomorrow before kickoff. But this is a really interesting game. So, all right, that's going to do it for a Q's Picks on a Football Friday edition of Back Your Play. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. Smash that subscription button. We appreciate all the feedback, the comments. Tweet us out. Hit us on Facebook, IG, Rich Q on Q as well. Twitter, Rich Q on Q. You can hashtag BYP. We got a bunch of new shows that are out and about. Earlier in the day, we spoke to Tony Cotillo. I gave you my Wilson thoughts. I gave you a little baseball thoughts. Lloyd Vance, Jonathan Marshall, Lake Lewis. They all joined me this week. We broke down a lot of stuff. Glenn Irby, Jovan Alford. So some really good insight around the world of sports with a little mix of NFL, baseball, a little NBA hoops, and of course, boxing as well. Kind of a light weekend in the Sweet Science, but we'll pick it up next week. So with that being said, have a good Sports Friday. Enjoy the games. We'll come back. We'll do it tomorrow in the AM for Saturday edition of BYP. Have a good one, everyone.